Good morning. Hi, Jessi here. Trying to get my camera angle right. Hi, I keep hitting the wrong buttons on this thing. I keep learning. Good morning. It's about 7:30 here in Chicago. Yeah, I think so. And I'm going to bang my pot just to wake you up. Good morning. I was going to make some oatmeal today, and I have some things I do with oatmeal that are kind of interesting. So I thought I'd bring you along to just check it out. Here we go. Happy Thursday. It is Thursday today for anybody that's on lockdown like us. By the way, I'm Jessi Allender. I'm a registered dietitian, and I went to culinary school way back in the day and worked for a while for some amazing people, which was awesome. But then I went and got a degree in nutrition, and now I'm a registered dietitian, and I typically work with small children with developmental delays, 0 to 3-year-olds, in a program called Early Intervention with only those in the know. Early Intervention provides all sorts of services, mostly like physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, but nutrition is one of the services available to families, and that's what I do when I'm not at home on lockdown. So I'm not doing that right now, and I'm enjoying being home with my kids and making food for them that's nutritious and good for them and tasty, so they'll eat it, because it's not good nutrition if it doesn't go in. So today I'm making some oatmeal. Here in my oatmeal box I have some steel cut oats. They're Bob's Red Mill organic. I keep them in a container, not in the bag, so that they're safe. And we're going to be making about a cup of oatmeal today for the 3 of us, which will have some leftovers. So there's my even measured cup. I'll have that at the ready. Meanwhile, I'm going to get my water going. So for my 1 cup, I need 2 cups of water. I have some filtered water right here. 2 cups, and I'm going to put that in my heavy bottomed pan because I don't want to scorch it, and I'm going to turn on the heat nice and high. There we go. Yay, I always put a little salt in with my oatmeal so that it is delicious. Where'd the salt go? Hello, salt. So I usually use kosher salt for stuff like this. It dissolves. I just like the graininess. Salt is salt is salt. You know, Himalayan salt has a little bit more minerals in it. I washed my hands fully before I turned the video on. Anyway, so that Himalayan salt has a little bit more minerals in it, beyond sodium and chloride. But it still has sodium in it, and salt makes things taste good, and we don't want to overdo it, especially if we have high blood pressure or if we're at risk for developing high blood pressure. But for my little kids and me with low blood pressure, it's a good start. So we've got the water heating up. That's going to get hot. I'm also going to make this sweet. I'm going to make it sweet, and I like to cook my fruit into my oatmeal. My friend taught me to do that a couple years ago. I was like, what are you doing? Putting apples into the oatmeal while you're cooking it. How strange. And I learned something. I learn something new every day, which is one of the reasons I'm coming on here, because I know everybody knows how to make oatmeal, or most people do, or maybe you don't, and so I'm making some oatmeal because it's a whole grain. These are gluten-free, but oats are gluten-free unless they're cross-contaminated. They're tasty, they're delicious, and they're inexpensive. I bought that. There's actually another jar back in the pantry because I bought it at Costco. I bought like 15 pounds, an insane amount of oatmeal because it was cheap and I knew it would last a long time, and that was about 2 months ago, and then the whole lockdown happened, and now I have it, so we're eating it. Anyway, today we're going to do raisins and honey. I just have a little tiny bit of honey left in this jar. I got a backup jar. In fact, I got 2, but I'm going to make sure I use every last drop of this. And then my special is that I add an egg. Egg into oatmeal, she said. What? Oh my God. Yeah, I put an egg in, and of course you have to cook it, but it's going to add some choline and some lecithin, and these are omega-3 eggs, so that the chickens actually eat an omega-3 rich feed. These are Milos. I get them at Hyde Park Produce. An 18 pack is $6 for organic, I think range-ish you know, they get the sunlight. I mean, chickens are treated badly. Let's be honest. Our chickens, our eggs, they're treated badly. Try to buy the best ones you can afford. 79 cents eggs are for a dozen, or 79 cents for a reason. The people aren't getting paid. The chickens aren't getting treated well. I don't go there. Personally, I try to pick an egg that's mid-range, and so I like it when I can find one that's less expensive. My water's about to boil. So I'm going to go ahead and add my oatmeal. It's going to, your angle's not super here. There we go. I'm going to add my oatmeal and stir it in. Let that continue to boil. I'm going to get my honey in there. That's about a tablespoon. Oh my goodness, what a noise. Get the kids, they love those noises. Good noises. All right, so that's all empty, but there's still like a coating in there, and I am super frugal. I just cannot waste. So I'm going to take my filtered water, and I'm going to fill up my honey jar all the way to the top. I'm going to screw my cap back on. Let's hope it doesn't explode. I'm going to give it a vigorous shake. What did Ina Garten say last year? You got to shake it for 30 seconds. Did you see that cocktail she made? That was amazing. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to put this in the fridge, and I'm going to save it to make lemonade later for the kids, because I have some lemon juice, and I can make them a treat drink. My hands are sticky. One of the ways you can learn about some chemistry and some other things with the kids is, or for yourself, is that the oatmeal, you know, it's a big enough pot, so this isn't going to boil over, but you can see all this foam coming. Here it comes. It's coming up. It's got a lot of protein in it, and it's the protein that, as the heat comes, denatures and reconfigures itself, and that's what gives the water the ability to rise up so high, because all these new protein structures are forming. And so I turned my heat down, and I got a stir on there, and it did not boil over. But you always want to keep an eye on oatmeal, or use a really, really low flame, which I'm going to turn it to now so it can simmer. This is, like I said, this is steel cut oats, so they're big grains, and they need to cook for a while. That's too low, a little higher. There we go. And I'm going to get my raisins in there now. I'm going to use an age-old measuring device. My hand. I'm going to do 2 hands, because we like a lot of raisins. That's plenty. 2 hands. Raisins are superfoods, as all fruits and vegetables are. I like to cook them in because they get soft. Like, after I learned that from my dear friend, who's amazing, and she knows who she is, I learned that, you know, the fruit gets soft, it shares all its sweetness. Those dried grapes, the raisins, they're great. They're rich in, they have some iron in them, which other fruits don't have. But oatmeal is not, but raisins are. Constipating. Hi, dietitian, I talk about poop all the time. Hey, bud. I got a waked up dragon. Come here. Oh! Say hi.
Hi.
Hi. Go play, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So they've got iron in them, which is great, but of course it causes a little bit of blockage for some people. So if you suffer, I would avoid raisins. But you could certainly dice prunes and put them into your oatmeal, and then you get like, whoa, that's the total opposite effect, and that's going to be super for you. I'm being watched all over the world. Hey, I miss you. So yeah, so there we go, and it's bubbling, and it's cooking, and I'm not going to stop today, because what I'm doing is I'm doing like long form, like no cuts, no editing, no production, because it's relaxing and not anxiety producing for me, because I need that. These days are tough and hard. While that's simmering, I'm just going to talk about water. Here's my water. Can I get the phone off of there? I'm going to leave the phone up there, because last time I tried to take the phone down, I ended the Facebook. I have a Brita filter. I have a big one. And that's where I filter my water. I feel my tap water is pretty safe, but why not, right? Because it's affordable. But please, I am begging, for the love of whatever you hold dear, stop buying single-use plastics, especially tiny little water bottles, if you can. If it's safe where you live to get a filter and filter your water instead of buying single-use plastic bottles, even if they're only $2.79 for 2 dozen at Sam's Club. Save us all. Like, we already have enough that's going on, like with the virus. Why should we also, like, even if they're not poisonous, like, just the physical presence in the oceans is killing fish and depleting. There's lots of science and stuff you can go research, and I can't remember any of it because my mind only has room for so much stuff. So there we go. So we're boiling here. Oh, it's getting nice and thick at the bottom. Sometimes I do it covered, sometimes I don't. I think I'm going to cover it for just a second. I had to leave the camera. I'm going to cover it and let it just boil and cook for a minute more before I add the egg. But I'm going to go ahead and crack the egg. Whenever I'm using an egg in any dish, I like to put the egg in a dish, especially when I'm cooking with the kids. It's super important because, you know, I've been working and having kids on my own, and teaching them to cook is really important to me. And so when they crack an egg, you know, the shell goes everywhere and it goes in everything. So if you crack your egg separate into a nice little dish, then you can make sure that there's no shell in it. This egg is all right. This egg, you can see it a little bit. The yolk has some height. When you're looking at eggs and checking out the freshness, you want to see, I forget what the inner part of the white is, but there's 2 different parts of white. There's a really loosey-goosey part, and then there's the thicker part, and then there's the yolk, which stands up. And the higher the yolk stands up, I had one the other day that was like standing straight up. It was in attention, you know what I mean. And that's just a really, really fresh egg. Eggs are, of course, lots and lots of protein, 6 to 7 grams of protein. They have cholesterol, but it's, when you eat cholesterol, it's different from like the endogenous cholesterol production. So it's gonna not raise your cholesterol, except for in some very rare cases. Eating eggs is really healthy choice, high in protein. And then for the kids, one of the reasons I add eggs to the oatmeal for the kids' breakfast is it got some fats in there, it's got some omega-3s in there. I buy the omega-3 rich eggs. It's really important for brain development. Eggs are rich in vitamin A and folate. I have a cheat sheet, I'm reading it. Vitamin B12, 9% of, you know, the minimum that we need each day. Oh, what else about eggs? They're just really good. And adding them to oatmeal, this is one of the tricks I use with my my babies that I see out in the field. A lot of them, most of the babies I see are underweight. They need to gain, and we have to figure out ways, like they don't want to eat scrambled eggs. You know, they're 2 years old. Maybe they have some sensory stuff. I work with kids with all sorts of developmental delays, people on the autism spectrum, people with Down syndrome, people with cerebral palsy, people with sensory processing disorder, all sorts of different things. And also just 2-year-olds that have had trauma, and they're just like, you know, it's the one thing they can control, what goes into their mouth. And so what's another way to like boost the power, right? So you can do this egg add with just about any kind of oatmeal. Oh, there, that's exactly where I want it. Nice and thick. Nice and thick oatmeal with raisins and honey. You can't really add an egg to instant oatmeal because you do have to cook it after the egg goes in. There it goes. And then I'm going to stir. And I'm going to stir until it's a custard. And I don't want it to become scrambled eggs. I want it to become creamy and delicious. And it became scrambled eggs a little bit. Haha. It was a little too hot when I stirred it in. But still getting that yolk cooked. So instant oatmeal, which is actually the highest fiber availability oatmeal out there, as far as I understand, somebody correct me. But I did some research on that a few years back, and instant oatmeal has the most fiber that really works because it's all ground to a powder. Whereas steel cut or old fashioned has less, but you have to cook them longer. And if you have to cook it, I should have reduced my heat a little bit more. I'm going to turn it off entirely. Then it's going to be, you have to cook it, and you don't cook instant oatmeal, so you can't add the egg. But so every other oatmeal that you cook, you just take the heat off and you put your egg in. And here I had a mistake. You can see little bits of the egg white. But that's going to be okay because the kids are going to have it with some milk on top, and it's going to be awesome. So that's my oatmeal. I'm Jessi Allender, registered dietitian, professional chef. Well, I used to work as a chef, not anymore. Hey, there's one of my culinary school buddies. Hey, man. So I made some oatmeal. It's nutritious. It's good. Add an egg if you can. If you're cooking it, do it over a little bit lower heat than what I did. I'll do it again in a couple of weeks. Let's see if I do it better. I love making mistakes because I learn from them, and I like doing these long form videos. Thanks very much for paying attention today. I love it. Have a great day, and I hope you're all well and safe.